b'siyata d'shmaya. We're up to day 4. Baruch Hashem. Halacha Yomi. So we left off on page 51. Halacha 30, cleaning the house on Erev Shabbat. It's a mitzvah to clean the floor before Shabbat in honor of Shabbat. Okay, great. 31, on Erev Shabbat Chazon, or for a mourner, it is permitted to sweep and mop the floor in honor of Shabbat. Okay, so usually a mourner is not allowed to clean his house or mop the floor, or Erev Shabbat Chazon, right before Tisha B'Av. That's also where we refrain from doing such a thing. But for in honor of Shabbat, you're allowed to do these kind of things in order to prepare for the Shabbat. Even though during the week you wouldn't, but since it's honor of Shabbat, we permit it. Okay, 32. It is customary to remove all spider webs from the house on Erev Shabbat. Interesting halacha. So if you see the note over here, 40, in the middle of it, see the Kaf Haim, the Shivat Zion. For a Kabbalistic reason for doing so Erev Shabbat, Ben Ish Chai says, Pasha Lech Lecha, one should specifically remove spider webs before Hatzot. So the spider webs we see over here has something to do with the Klippa, the Kaf Haim explains, and it has to do with Shalom Bayit. So for the sake of Shalom Bayit and the Klippa, the evil forces should not hurt somebody's Shalom Bayit, Erev Shabbat, like we mentioned before. There's a very big Yetzer Hara, Erev Shabbat, for Shalom to not to have Shalom Bayit. So therefore, you should try to get rid of the spider webs in the house. Okay, 33. One should polish the silverware, set the beds, table, and other items such as timers for AC or lighting in the house in order that everything should be set and prepared upon entering home from synagogue. It is advisable one should write himself a list that he can refer to every Erev Shabbat of all the things that need to be set or turned on or off before Shabbat, right? So you got to have the same list that you go through every week. That way you'll never forget what you have to prepare for Shabbat. Usually every Shabbat is the same things we need to prepare. And that way we don't forget, you put it in the list. 42. Some examples of common preparations include turning off the lights in the bedrooms, turning on the Shabbat lamps, setting any appliances on a timer, turning the fridge to Shabbat mode, adding water to the urn, boiling the water, setting up the plata or hot plate, cutting foil, cutting tissue paper, paper towels. For those who are stringent to not open bottles on Shabbat, so to open bottles before Shabbat, setting the AC to the right temperature, or setting the heater to the right temperature, putting away stuff that is muktzah, emptying your pockets of muktzah items, shutting the phone off, setting an alarm for it to wake up in the morning, or setting up the candles. All these things, it's good to have a list, and everyone can refer to the list. That way we don't forget one of these things, and then it'll take away from the enjoyment or the ability to keep the Shabbat. Okay, 34. According to Kabbalah, specifically the woman of the home should set the table for Shabbat. However, it's proper for the man to also help his wife set the table as well. So the main person is the wife, and the husband will help if she's getting overwhelmed. He'll help and be involved. 43. Chesed La'alafim states that a man should set the table since it's a mitzvah. However, Ben Ish Chai and Kaf Chaim say that Tikkun Zohar says specifically the woman should be the one who sets the table. In any case, the Ben Ish Chai says the man will help out and you fulfill the other opinion by helping out and being involved minimally. Okay, 35. On up top, all the tables in the house that are used for eating should be covered with a tablecloth from the beginning of Shabbat till after Havdalah. That's honoring the Shabbat. The table should also be covered with a special tablecloth that is designated only for Shabbat. That's a Ramah in Siman Resh Samech Bet. Okay, good. 36. It is also proper to put the chalot and the wine on the table when preparing the table before Shabbat, and leave them until Kiddush. Right, that way it's ready to go. The second you go and come home from shul, they'll be ready to do Kiddush. They put everything on the table before. 37. It is a praiseworthy custom to set aside besamim and to leave them on the table before the Kiddush, so that one will remember to say a bracha upon them returning from synagogue. There's an idea of making 100 blessings on Shabbat. It's a little bit harder to make 100 blessings, so besamim helps us get there. And preferably, you should go and use a hadas that was kosher for the mitzvah of lulav. That's the best besamim to use for Shabbat. The Ben Ish Chai actually says you should go around the table a couple times and then smell the hadasim, two hadasim, one for shamor, one for zachor. And then you make a blessing on it when you come home from shul before you start the meal. And then you can use the same adasim again for Havdalah, because you need the besamim again in Havdalah. You'll say borei atzeh besamim. Okay, fine. 38. one should sharpen one's knives on Erev Shabbat, especially if one will need a sharp knife to cut his food. And this is the Raman Resh Nun. And again, that's for the preparation of Shabbat. Look at the note, 47. Ben Ish Chaya points out that even though our knives are generally sharp enough to meet our needs, nevertheless, one should make sure they're extra sharp by rubbing them together in order to fulfill the words of the Chachamim, who say you should sharpen your knives Erev Shabbat. So even though you don't need it, it's good to do it, to heed their words. The Shivat Zion as sharpening knives on Erev Shabbat is a sgula for Shalom Bayit. Interesting, sharpening the knife. Knife sounds like a scary item. Not Shalom Bayit, but it is. It's for the, when he can't cut his meat, maybe, he might get upset. So it's a sgula for Shalom Bayit, spiritually and logically. It makes sense also. Okay, let's see 39. In honor of Shabbat, it's a mitzvah to cut your hair on Erev Shabbat, to look put together, to look nice. Especially today's Chag, so we don't want to come into Chag not looking right. And also, you can't get a haircut on Chol Hamoed, so you got to get a haircut anyways. If you want to get a haircut next week, you can't. You got to get a haircut today. Then preferably, Erev Shabbat, this is talking about, on Fridays, preferably one should get a haircut before Hatzot. Yeah, there's a minhag from the Kabbalists. They say that you shouldn't get a haircut past Hatzot midday on Fridays. Preferably, you should try to follow that halacha. If one could not get a haircut before Hatzot, it's also permitted to do so after the time of Haktana, right? That's already 3 or 2 hours before Shkia already. Still, it will be permitted even then to get a haircut if a person's not able to do it earlier. Technically, it's permitted. Interesting over here, if one's too busy to cut his hair on Friday, he may also do so on Thursday. So let's say your Friday's jam-packed, so you don't have time, you can do it Thursday. The note over here, very interesting note, look at the end of 51. Halacha Berurah, volume 15, page 24, states that his father, Chacham Ovadia Alav Shalom, would always get his haircut on Thursday night. Interesting, Thursday night over there, some poskim, according to Kabbalah, say that also you shouldn't get a haircut at night. It's like a time of dinim, and hair is dinim, judgments. But look at this. The Halacha Berurah says that his father used to get a haircut at night, Thursday night. So Ovadia famous for not being a Kabbalist. We're not all Kabbalists. Pashtan, we would go according to Pshat. According to Pshat, it's forbidden. Totally permitted to get a haircut at night, and that's what he used to do. He used to get a haircut Thursday night. Okay, said I guess he had no time, and that's worked out for him. So if a person has time to fulfill all opinions, it'd be during the day before Hatzot. But if not, you could do Thursday night. 40. One does not have to get a haircut if his hair is still short and doesn't need to be cut further. If you already got a haircut last week, you don't need to get a haircut every week. Whenever you look like you need a haircut, then you should do it Erev Shabbat. Fine. 41. Even when Rosh Chodesh is on Erev Shabbat, some people have a custom refrain from getting a haircut. Yeah, that's Tzavad of Yehuda Hasid. There's the will of Yehuda Hasid. He was one of the Rishonim, and he made a will for his children. And in there, one of the halachot that he taught his kids was not to get a haircut on Rosh Chodesh, Rosh Chodesh. So if Erev Shabbat is Rosh Chodesh, so according to Yehuda Hasid, you shouldn't get a haircut. But is it allowed or is it not allowed? Well, if you want to fulfill his opinion, then you shouldn't. But if you can't and you need to, so then you couldn't. You don't have to. However, even those who have this custom may cut their hair and shave on Erev Shabbat if they feel unkept and are doing so in the honor of Shabbat. So technically, we're not really bound to it. But if you want to fulfill his opinion, you should and you could. And if you're not able to, you don't have the ability to, that's okay also. Look at the note over here, 54, in the middle. Let's start from the beginning, actually, 54. See Ashrei Aish, who states that one should only refrain from cutting his hair on Erev Shabbat if he has a specific custom to do so because of Rosh Chodesh. See also Aruch HaShulchan, who says that one who does not follow Yehuda Chassid's will, Tzavat Yehuda Chassid may cut his hair, and he will be not harmed if he does so. Not to worry, if you don't really follow everything it says, and it's Tzavat Yehuda Chassid, we're not bound to it, and that's fine. 42. Even when Pesach falls out on Shabbat, one may get a haircut on Erev Shabbat after Hatzot. That's not a problem. Even though usually we don't do Melacha after midday on Erev Pesach. 43. When Lag BaOmer is Erev Shabbat, even Sfardim may shave on Friday in honor of Shabbat. In such a case, one is unable to shave on Friday, may shave even Thursday night. So usually Sfardim wait till 34th day of the Lamed Dalet. What if Lag BaOmer is Erev Shabbat, like Ashkenazim, they cut their hair on Lag BaOmer already? Can we also cut our hair for the honor of Shabbat on Lag BaOmer? Yeah, you're allowed to. And what if I don't have time Friday? Can I even do it Thursday night? Yes, because Thursday night is also Lag BaOmer technically, right? Lag BaOmer starts at night. So therefore, for the Erev Shabbat, look how it pushes the custom of 34. Usually we do, it pushes it back to, we're able to do it on 33rd. Okay, let's finish up over here. 44, one may not take a haircut on Chol HaMoed, even if it's done for the honor of Shabbat. So there you go. That's what we spoke about before. If you want to get a haircut and you didn't get a haircut today, you won't be able to get a haircut next week, even though you're doing it for the honor of Shabbat or the holiday. 45 is permitted to get a haircut on Erev Shabbat, even if it's Purim. Okay, that's a holiday. Usually we don't go to work. Usually we don't do Melacha on that day. We try to just celebrate and focus on Purim. Still, if it's Erev Shabbat, you can get a haircut even on Purim. Okay. Hazak Baruch, everybody. We're going to continue with the cutting nails, Erev Shabbat next week, Halacha 46. We're going to take a break for the holiday. You should review what we've done till now, and Bezrat Hashem will pick up already on Sunday morning, Bezrat Hashem. Baruch Na'olam, Amen, Amen.